What's up, guys? So today we're going to talk about transformations of quadratic functions. The first thing we're going to do, though, is we're going to kind of explore it a little bit, and I want you to do this kind of by yourself, to be honest with you. You can graph it on Desmos and then transfer that graph to here. So kind of work through the first one with you to show what I mean. So f of x equals x squared. Well, that function, if you graph it on Desmos, you get these coordinates right here. So again, x squared, quadratic functions make a parabola. So that's the first one. Now if I say x squared plus 3, I'm going to take every point and move it up 3. If I say x squared minus 5, I'm going to take every point and move it down 5. So the whole point of this exploration is for you to see the transformations that we're going to be talking about. So describe the relationship between these three graphs. Well, if you look at the red one compared to the blue one, all right, the blue would say I move everything up 3. The green, I would say everything down 5. So a type of transformation is a vertical shift up or down. If it's a number that's just on the outside of the x squared, not inside parentheses or anything like that, it's going to be up or down. So I want you to try the rest of them. Graphing. No problem. The original one doesn't ever change. You guys can use Desmos to graph this. So hopefully whenever you graphed it, you got something like that. Now, what I want you to notice about this one is if I put minus 3 inside parentheses, right? Okay, they're doing the opposite. They're kind of lying to you. So this one's going to be right 3. X plus 5 squared, right, is going to be left 5. And I hope you recognize that whenever you graphed it. I took the original one, the red one, is what we're basing everything off of. I moved it left or right, depending on the transformation. Keep going on. Right, our red graph will never change because that's called the parent function. So we base everything off of that x squared by itself. So then they give me negative x squared. Do that one in black this time. Hopefully what you notice on this one is the negative is on the outside of the parentheses. That's a reflection over the x-axis. Keep going on, keep exploring. Again, our red graph doesn't ever change. This time the blue graph is just like the red graph. And the green one's pretty similar. Can now type these in on Desmos and graph these. Hopefully what you notice about this one is it's a reflection over the y-axis when the negative's inside parentheses with the x. And lastly, I know there's a 6th one, but I'm only going to do 5 just to show you. Again, I fully expect you to type these in on Desmos. Notice that if I throw a number to multiply the x squared by, right, it's going to either stretch or compress it. So we just talk about which factor. If it's a big number, right, that stretches it away from the x-axis. If it's a smaller number, that compresses it towards the x-axis. So those are the only difference. So the green one's compressed, so it's getting flatter to the x. The blue one is stretched, getting away further from the x-axis. Okay? So with all that, hopefully that it's a little bit easier to do that stuff in person, but now we just talk straight up about what the transformations mean. So if it's just plus c, it's up units, or up c units. If it's just minus c, that's down c units. Okay, then we get into x minus c in parentheses. This is the opposite one, so it's going to be left to right. This is going to be right c units. If it's plus c in parentheses, it's going to be left c units. Again, you got to think opposite on that one. If it's a negative on the outside, that's reflection over x-axis. If it's a negative on the inside, that's a reflection over y-axis. So then we get into these. If c is greater than 1, you say it's a stretch by a factor of c. If it's less than 1, it's a compression by a factor of c. Okay, these are going to be the same for these two as well. It's just instead of being on the outside of the x squared, it's in parentheses with the x. Doesn't matter, it's still going to be stretch compression. Okay? So, in order for us to graph a function involving a sequence of transformations, we must use the following step. First off, we do a vertical shift. We have to. And then we do a horizontal shift second. So first off, we go up or down, and then we go left or right. Third off, we do reflections. And then lastly, we do stretches / compressions. All right, so what a lot of stuff you're going to see on the Hawks is they're going to give you something, and they'll say, hey, what did I do to transform this? Well, normally we start with x squared. That's our parent function. Well, how did I change x squared to make it look like this? Well, I put minus 2 in parentheses. So minus 2 means I'm going to go right 2. And then plus 1 means I'm going to go up 1 at the end. And all these are based off of x squared. We kind of start off with the basic parent function of a quadratic. Negative in front of the x squared means reflect over the x-axis. Minus 3 means I go down 3. We get into this one. Okay, because it's bigger than 1, it's a stretch by a factor of 2. The plus 3 tells me I go left 3. Remember, they're lying to you. And then minus 4 means I go down 4. Okay, so I want you to practice yourself, independent practice on these, see if you can list the transformations. Hopefully on this one you're saying reflect over the y, go left 4. On part B, so on this one I really want you to be careful. The negative is separate from the 1/2. The negative means reflect over the x-axis. The 1/2 means compression. So you got to make sure you recognize that, keep that separate. Minus 2 means down 2. So lastly, I just wanted you to write a couple. So if I translate it 10 units to the right, I'm going to say x minus 10 squared. And 4 units up, I'm going to say plus 4. Next one, it's stretched by a factor of 3. Translated 5 units upward and reflected over the x-axis. I'm going to say negative 3x squared. And then 5 units up, I'm going to say plus 5. Reflected over the x-axis means I put the negative on the outside. Stretched by a factor of 3 means I multiply by 3. Then I add 5 to go out 5. So that's what we're going to do. There is some homework with this. It's paper homework. You're not going to do any graphing, just write any equations, tell me the transformations. It's pretty basic stuff because in the next lesson, we're going to dive a little bit deeper into every single type of graph and the transformations that go with it, okay? If you guys have any questions, let me know. Have a great day.